how did you feel about the final boss, the final segment, when you finally caught up with Link, and now it's time to duke out with our main villain for this game?
I was throwing the little fish at him, and then
Fish.
I was doing different stuff, not because I'm like I couldn't figure out how to kill it. It was just like me having fun, like, oh yeah, what about this now?
Let's see what this is.
What will this be do or something like that?
For Link. Did you just summon a fish there, Zelda?
Yeah,
You got a problem with that, Link?
yeah. He was like, I'm trying to be serious here.
I'm a puzzle solver out here, Link, all right? You do your sword stuff and leave the magic to me, all right?
This is why you don't have other games.
What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of Otaku, where we serve the hottest takes in anime and video games. My name is Ray, and I'll be your host for this episode of our little anime podcast we do every other week. And today, we're actually going to switch over and actually talk about video games for once, because we're an anime and video game podcast, I should mention. And today, we'll be doing a spoiler talk about The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which we already had a previous episode here on the podcast. So if you're curious about our early versions, you go check that out. But today we're here to talk about endings, spoilers, and all that good stuff. But don't worry, there's timestamps down below to let you know. But without further ado, let's move along our current roster and things we checklist here on the podcast. And let's introduce everyone else on the podcast. My brother Miles with me. Hello, Miles. How are we doing?
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure to get my smoothies for this episode.
Gathering up for the big fight.
Yeah, I gotta get all my tough mango and milk smoothies and eggs and some weird monster guts. Like, why not?
That's good for you. It's got a lot of protein. And of course, we have Frank, who, what have you brought with us today, Frank, to be prepared for this episode?
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to bring gifts.
Oh, not ready for the final.
But you did you make all the smoothies? Because the best smoothie is the honey and the milk.
I think that's correct. That sounds from the little I can remember.
That one gives you the most.
Gives you all the
most
hearts.
bang for your buck.
Yeah, all the energy.
There you go.
Just hard. Wait,
That's a different smoothie to give you the
remember.
energy to wield the not master sword, apparently, in this game.
The light sword.
That's very different. But we'll get to that later on the podcast. Before that, we'll talk about our usual suspects of what we've been watching and playing. And let's start with Frank. Frank, sir, it's been a minute since we have you on the podcast, so what's new with you? What you been watching and playing?
I got back into Hades.
Oh.
It just does it right.
Does it right?
Does it right.
You need
Everything you want.
And a good hit. You're like, yeah, I'm back in. Yeah.
It gives you good incentives to keep going. Like,
True.
keep decorating your mansion, or you can earn titles. There's just a lot of stuff to collect, a lot of lore, and then all the gods. It seems like they always say something different, so I don't know how they come up with that dialogue. Cause
It's a lot of dialogue.
I know that I'm like 200 runs in, and they're still not repeating stuff.
They got something new to say.
I play a game and I think, why can't they be Hades? Why can't they do it like they do?
I mean, Hades 2 is coming, Frank.
I can't wait.
It's an early beta or early access, I guess is the technical term. PC, Frank. Gotta get a PC, Frank.
Nah.
You build PC, you can play all those games.
You get your name in the credits, Frank. Be like, oh, thanks to Frank, we made the real changes that we needed to make.
No, I don't want to play unfinished work.
Help him out.
Make sure this is too much.
You know what
damage.
makes the success.
I already have a job. I don't want another one.
Fair enough, Frank. Fair enough.
So I've been playing that. I started watching Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, okay.
It's something good to watch while playing Hades.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to look at the screen.
A lot of dialogue. Silly
yeah,
dialogue.
it's just it made me go back to Seinfeld because I never finished that either. So
Oh, you never finished Seinfeld?
no, I
Wee.
keep repeating the beginning because I forget. And I'm like,
Like season 1?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I just I'm maybe season 3.
Okay.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
And Curb, okay.
Yeah. Probably my favorite part of Curb is when they say, "That's the cutoff." That's the cutoff.
You're done.
They use it a lot. Like I think the first time they used it is like, you can't call after 9.
Oh, yeah, there's a cutoff.
The cutoff is 10.
You can't call after 9. Be crazy.
And then recently they used it on where we're like, oh, you're gonna buy him a wedding present, and they're like, it's been over a year. The cutoff is a year.
Yeah.
Who said so? Everybody knows.
Everyone knows this thing. That's a lot of curve is just this like social things we all agree upon without ever saying out loud. But once you go against the grain, of course he's like, "What? What do you mean you can't do that? Ah, it's fine." And it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Like they get in arguments for the dumbest things.
Pretty much.
So I've been watching that. I've been watching a little bit of Penguin.
Penguin, oh HBO,
Oh, the Penguin.
The Penguin, yeah.
the Penguin with the Batman, but no the Batman. My understanding.
No Batman.
He's he's resting. He's on vacation. It happens.
I'm enjoying it. It's a little bit like Sopranos, where they have Italian accents. That's about it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I can't say too much because I haven't watched too much of it, but I like it enough to not want to play Hades while I watch it.
Okay, so you want to give it your full attention.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you had to
The
full Frank
down.
experience.
I want the full screen TV. I want the
Ooh, the Frank screen. When you,
atmosphere.
when you put
There
Frank
you go.
has to put down the screen, then you know you made a good show.
Yeah.
It's not phone. It's better than the phone. We have to go beyond the phone.
I wanted to watch it, but I really made an effort when my friend told me that he was liking it, and I trust his opinion. So I'm like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. Yeah.
So far, so good.
far, I think it's a good watch. I make me like the Penguin. Like,
Okay, well that's good. You imagine a show like this? That's the job.
yeah, they haven't said why they call him the Penguin,
Hmm.
but I guess it kind of shows you like in episode 1 why the Penguin.
I think it's because he has he walks with a limp because it got shot or something, and that's why he has so he kind of waddles the penguin.
Yeah, he walks like that.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's the reason.
And I just thought
versus like the original Danny DeVito one where he looks like a penguin. Get it?
No, I was in Batman C6. The old with the old purple hat and wow.
See, oh, you're talking about the '60s Batman?
Yeah, C6.
Oh, I thought I heard like season 6 is what I heard. My bad.
Yeah, the C6
With his big cigar, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah.
How much do you love camp?
I hope you love a lot of it because there's nothing but camp.
I have no idea what you guys talking
You've
about.
never seen Adam West Batman, Frank? '60s Batman?
No.
The Batmobile with Robin.
the bat shark repellent.
And holy snakes, Batman! Holy lassos of I don't know. I'm trying to think what Robin would say.
I know I'm old, but 60s? No.
No, well, I mean, they showed in reruns all the time as kids, and plus, I actually the Blu-ray set it because I'm just a hardcore Batman nut. So of course I have it. Nothing with the Batman dance and the shark repellent.
I'm
Ha-
trying.
Bat radar.
Nothing. Bat radar. Joker with the mustache, but he just puts makeup on it, and hopefully you don't notice.
When they climb up the,
It's very obvious in Blu-ray. Let me tell you.
climb up the wall, even though the Danny looks like they're actually walking on.
And like
the
everyone shows up, like celebrity cameo going up the ceiling or the wall.
Give up. I'm not catching
What?
it.
Nothing.
I'm not catching
Wow.
it.
Nah.
Psh,
I like how he-
psh, mine's being blown right
Yeah.
now. You've seen the animated series, right, Frank?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Whew. Okay, we're
Yeah.
okay. We're okay.
Ray's gonna cut your mic off right now. The rate you're going.
We're gonna have to find a new host already.
But yeah, that they show him take off his shoes. Ugh, nasty.
Oh, it's like, oh,
Yeah. I like the bad guy.
there's a worse guy than the penguin?
No, it's I don't know. It's the thing. It's the thing where it's like, are we rooting for the bad guy? Are those the bad guys?
Who's really the bad guy?
He's
here?
the good bad guy. He's the bad guy. Oh, okay. Okay. Huh?
That makes sense.
It does a good job of like making you like him, but at the same time, it shows you like, oh yes, you're a bad guy. Yeah.
Oh, right. You're actually evil.
Just like Yakuza. Oh, don't worry, man. I might shoot down people with money, but inside I have a heart of gold.
That's
Right
what
in here.
matters.
So yeah, I watched that and play Hades. I kind of took a break from Genshin Impact. Okay.
You too, huh?
I okay. The problem is that I think I was playing too much, and I was starting to have like eyesight problems.
Oh,
while
no.
while you're playing on the iPad, build
Eating-
a PC. You can eliminate all the stress.
That would help a little bit. This is true.
I never thought about that. That might have motivated me to do so.
Christmas shopping, Frank. Put on the Christmas list. See what Santa could do for you.
Well, you know what? I could tell you right now, it's not gonna happen.
Santa's dropping the ball this year.
No, it's just like I'm not gonna go. That's it.
I refuse.
I'm not gonna go on a ride. I'm gonna.
No, it's just like it's not gonna happen. It's just like
But it could, Frank. It could happen.
it could, but I don't think it will.
There's a will, there's a way, Frank, is usually my answer to this. But all right. We all have choices to make.
We built a new
Poor
computer,
Frank. He's not it's
We-
whatever the wind takes him. That's his choices that
Look,
day.
we built a new computer, Frank, and they able to play Genshin Impact at at like 1080 with 60 frames. That you go like, okay, that's fine. But you have to do it yourself.
You know, you could like order stuff online. They bring it to your doorstep.
That's already too much.
That's too much.
That's already
Email
too much.
address,
No.
credit card, PayPal account.
You know how I've been going on trips lately,
Mm-hmm.
and how many plane tickets have I bought?
A decent amount.
No, 0.
You haven't.
No, yeah, somebody did that for me. How do I? Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. Poor Frank's not too low.
It's called being a
I don't
stowaway.
know.
You see, you grab onto the wheel.
Hopefully, he rises
It,
destination.
it didn't happen that way. Somebody did it for me, and they just said go here at this time, and
You somehow got there.
You'll-
But how
and-
did you get to that place to get on the plane, Frank?
Come by. Hey, yo, Frank.
well, it wasn't me. Somebody took me.
Oh, all right.
I
Frank.
mean-
all right.
What I did, I paid for the ticket.
Too much work.
Too much work.
So,
yeah, exactly.
so if they give you an invoice, so in this scenario, so if they give you an invoice, here we got you PC parts. Here's this. All you do is pay this much money, and then would just give it to you, build it, and put it right in front of your.
Well, I wouldn't
Yeah.
build it, but I'll pay for it.
No, but someone build it, assemble it, whatever. They just give you an invoice at the end of the day. Did you pay it?
That sounds like a dream scenario to me.
All right.
All right. The PC price cost you $10,000 there, Frank.
Yeah.
So as soon as you send that over, I'll give you a $2,000 PC.
Yeah. Right.
And
Trump-
lucky for you,
Right.
you'll never know. You'll never know.
And a handling fee, and a builder's fee, electronic fee, and the electricity fee.
there's a limit to how much. I'll pay.
9,000, Frank. What a deal. That's a discount. That's a
9,000.
podcast discount right there.
Yeah.
It's just for me. I feel like it has to be faith. Faith.
All right.
And see, logic and faith don't really mix well together. These two things, not so much.
I put it in the blender and they gave me a smoothie.
Those gives you hearts or link energy, but I'm not sure about that other one.
It wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant
It
to
wasn't
be.
meant to be. It's just.
And you, poor Frank, he has no choice. He has to go with the flow. He can't create his own path or walkway or nothing.
No, I mean it takes.
He just gets washed away in the river, and wherever the river takes him, he
Nope.
shows up. He ends up on that shore.
I don't know. I thought I was making sense. I thought it was that. I thought a lot of people in society work this way.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, Frank. Not me. That's all I can tell you, Frank. Not me.
Let it go, man.
Let the energy around you guide you.
All right, I look forward to see who's going to edit this podcast. Let's see if the river will guide me down that way.
And I'm sure
I'll be dead by the river, by the way, drowned. Been dead you find my bones down there.
I'm sure you'll make the right choices, and I'll be cool with that. Anyways, that was my week.
All right. Life choices here on Taku Podcast.
Yeah, and then we'll go for some more later on.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we're gonna move on to Miles this week. Miles, what game of cards are you playing over there? And should I bring up my Charizard or what?
I'm gonna play with a full deck of magic cards. Anyway, other than the homework, of course, I'm trying to finish Mario Luigi, but when we ran into the problem of, I ran the problem with the game should have. It's hard when you already beat the final boss, and there's more game afterwards.
Oh.
So there's more. How this is the bad guy. We won, right? Are you sure about that though?
There's always the real.
Final
Is
boss.
it the Moon Lady?
I mean, because and it's like, but I already got the best gear. There's no new gear to get. There's nothing really much to do here. What am I fighting for? I never see a game which it's a game I never realized. I'm down. I'm done with this.
Wait, let me make sure I heard you right, because you
Yeah.
said the Mario and Luigi game.
Mm-hmm.
The-
The Brothership.
I wanted to play that one, but
You might want to consider.
Take off your headphones, Frank.
I you know what? You might have. Wait.
Frank, Rebirth, right? We talked about Rebirth earlier this year.
Yes.
That's where we're at now in Mario Luigi, in which the game keeps going and going.
So you don't like that it keeps going?
It not when I beat the final boss, Frank. There's not enough variation of enemies or lands. You go back to the same lands yet again.
I think I know what happened.
Mm.
You arrived at your train station, but the train kept going.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually not bad. It's not bad. You're just like they were at the end, and it's a stop.
And there's Ozzy Osbourne for some reason.
I don't know where I'm going.
Imagine Seinfeld, like Kramer in the car. Oh, we're out of gas. The gas a long time ago. Let's see how far we go.
There it is.
You know,
Into the madness.
but the fact that there's a lack of, we're revisiting the same place we went to yet again for the 50th time. The enemies are like, oh, but now they're stronger because they're now dark enemies.
Ooh.
But it's the same. But it's the same. It was like, hey, same thing. It's now just you need to be this level set at this level. There's not really much change in gameplay and things like that.
It kind of reminds me, how you're explaining it kind of reminds me of what happened with me with Tales of Arise,
Mm-hmm.
where I've already seen all the different kinds of bad guys there's just different colors now.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I'm struggling because I don't have the current equipment I need, and I'm not at the right level.
Yeah, and it's just like it's just like it doesn't know when to stop the train.
Wait, is that why
Uh,
you mentioned the Moon Lady? Or is there
Contact.
actually a Moon Lady in the?
no, there's not actually a moon
No,
lady.
no, no.
Yes, we're referring to Naruto when we say moon lady.
Oh well,
There is no moon lady in,
No, no,
but it
no.
feels like
I was
the
gonna
moon
play
lady.
it and expect the Moon Lady to show up.
But it's just like and I never had an experience with a game like I'm done. I seen all I could see. I'll put if I want to finish the game later on, I'll finish the game later on. But no. So after that, most of the time I just playing like little knick-knack games like your the Star Honkai Star Rail, which I realize I'm way behind on that.
Oh no.
ZZ, I'm way behind that. I think I'm already going to like was it? There's only 1.4 and I'm barely at 1.2 already patch wise.
I feel the same way again.
It's just like it just like where's the time?
You call yourself gotcha players. You disgust me.
And then the sad part is that a rerun's gonna happen like in the next couple of weeks. Like right, literally right before Christmas. I think it's hilarious. It's like, well, there's all the I can't, I just can't go there. So it's like I have a lot of catch up and work to do. So other than that, yeah, that's how my week's going. Everyone,
Disappointment and behind.
Wait, New Year, yeah.
There you go. Merry Christmas.
All right, and now here goes Ray in for the home stretch. Yeah, bring in the holiday cheer and everything.
Ho ho ho. I guess for my week, I guess what we have to talk about that isn't our homework assignment that we're going to talk about Legend of Zelda in a minute. It's not a lot. During Thanksgiving week / Black Friday, spend time with the family. Did a lot of holiday shopping, getting prepared for season 3 of Taku Podcast, where fingers crossed there might be a video feed version of this podcast in 2025. So stay tuned to that. Still have to work out those kinks. Or those kinks, and both of them.
I wonder if people want that.
We'll find out. Frank.
They don't know what they really want, Frank. We're gonna show.
We're gonna tell them what they want, Frank. We threw out the river and we bought ourselves a boat and we take ourselves where the fuck we want, Frank.
I'm
That's
like,
how
I want to see that guy that says the stupid things.
Where's that guy that never leaves his house and doesn't know what Uber is? What does he look like? Oh, there he is.
He's not a real person.
That's the guy. That's the guy who doesn't have a smartphone right there. So a lot of planning and shopping for that. But we're referring to anime, video games, the things we normally talk about here on the podcast. Not a ton. So I guess I had this bit of I guess I'm preparing for 2025 arriving with the New Year's resolution in the last week or so where I'm
ready. We're not even there.
I know I'm jumping ahead already.
Wow,
This
already?
is how much of a producer I am over here apparently when I
Wow.
got to plan everything ahead.
All right, 10 steps ahead of
Like I
us.
said, fuck the river. I'll swim myself. And so as the Olympic swimmer that I am, I have decided to really start focusing on my video game backlog. It is quite horrendous, and I'm working on it. And I organized a stack of console and PC games.
Why is it from 2012?
It's out of date. We're talking at least a decade old.
So they're going to play a game called Super Mario Brothers 2. And I wonder how good it is.
Yeah, luckily it's not that bad. But to give you an example of how bad it is, recently, and I mean just the last like 48 hours, I finally started tackling my Steam back catalog in particular, and thanks to the power of the Steam Deck that I acquired earlier this year, I'm finally putting it to the test, and I decided to check out Guacamelee for those.
Oh, okay. That's like how long ago, brother? That's like only
a decade.
Close. You're almost there.
Yes. For those who don't know, the game is with a name like that. It is very inspired by like Mexican culture, in particular like luchador stuff going on there, because you play as this like magical luchador who has to save basically the princess in his village, because some skeleton man decides to show up on the Day of the Dead or the day before the Day of the Dead, something like that.
So Coco.
Yeah. So yes, if you're familiar with that, a little symbol is there.
Did he?
And so yes, there's a bit of that. But gameplay wise, so that's the story there. The gameplay wise, it's just a Metroidvania. where you get power-ups and abilities, and you search this big map 2D style and do little wombo combos to send your enemies flying and then grab them and catapult them across the screen like the cool luchador wrestler that you are.
Sounds like a Warrior Land.
There's a little Warrior Land-ish to it, I guess I'd argue
Someone
with
trying
that.
to Anton Blast. That's like the closest equivalent.
That just came out, I believe. So
It sounds cool, but I don't think I like the wrestling theme.
well, it's there, but it's very playful. There's a decent amount of writing in it, and it's very playful and silly, and it doesn't take itself seriously. There's a lot of video game and pop culture references in the game, where there'll be posters of like Super Mario Brothers, but they're not called Super Mario Brothers. They're called like the Hermanos, wrestlers or something, and it's a guy in red and a guy in green. Oh, who could it be, right? And a lot of like other video game references. When you get a power up, a new ability in the game, you have to smash a Chozo statue from Metroid. So it's very blatantly obvious what the reference is, and the things the game designers are into that inspired them to make this game. So I've been enjoying that over on my Steam Deck. It is a beautiful little handheld that I keep forgetting to use, but
it's the OLED.
I do have the fancy LED model, so
I did manage to get on Black Friday. Got the Quest 3S.
Oh, the headset. And yeah, that's the other thing I'm hoping to work on along with my video game back catalog, is also because I have also bought VR games and have a official, I guess, just Quest 3 headset, the fancy high-end model one, which I did dabble in when I first got it, but it's been a little quiet since then, so I need to pick that back up. So yeah, that's the video games I've been dabbling in. Anime stuff, not really. Gonna work on our best of 2024 episode coming up soon, so I'll be thinking about that to see what's gonna make the... that was last year. That was bloody last year.
I was about to ask, was that this year?
No, Frank. I know time escapes us, but not that bad.
See? I guess you guys pay attention though, huh?
Yeah, I was falling asleep and now I'm back.
See, now I'm back.
With fury, so angry.
I was just like ready to protest.
Bring out the sign. He's ready out here. No, definitely not.
I thought we would never talk about it again.
It sneaks its way back on the podcast once again. Thank goodness it's
I do have the video game I should go back to play.
No, you don't. Just put it down, Miles. Do yourself a favor. Just put it down. And pick up instead a subscription to Paramount Plus / Showtime, because I have been dabbling on a Frank recommendation here on the podcast, probably like a year ago now.
Slam Dunk?
No, it's not Slam Dunk. That's not on Showtime. But what is on Showtime is Dexter New Blood, I guess a final season of the character, but then there was a prequel series coming around the corner. This came out, I think, 2-ish years ago, something like that. I want to say.
It feels longer.
Something like 2020 and up until like we lost years. So what else is new? But yes, so I finally started to watch that. Because boy, oh boy, for those who don't know, the last season of, I guess, regular Dexter, kind of bad if you didn't know. Really, really bad. In particular, the final episode or two. And you're kind of left with this like cliffhanger at the end of that, which now in this new show, because it's technically not part of, like, it's not Dexter season 9 or whatever it would be. It's like a mini series apparently. So it's its own little season you have to look up.
Is it? I was counting it 9.
I know, but apparently not, because there is a tab for Dexter that shows all those seasons, but then that season is its own little thing on the app. At least that's how it showed up for me.
What if?
But yeah, I'm only maybe 3-4 episodes into it, and I am enjoying it because it's like, oh right, Dexter. I remember when I liked Dexter. Like the first 4 seasons are probably like the best part of that show from what I can recall. It's been a minute. I'm enjoying it. It's it's more satisfying. I do like the changes. I guess I'll get into minor spoilers. Well, I guess it does lead to bigger spoilers, so maybe not.
Is it about Dexter and the fact that...
Because the ending of the original TV show run is kind of a spoiler of things that are a common folk at this point, so I guess I won't get into the spoilers really.
Oh come on, it can't be like he's not gonna come back from the dead, right? Like Scarface, we're not like Scarface.
Miles is closer than he knows.
Scarface like all over again.
Yeah, no.
He didn't got shot. He survived that blast.
Just a little. So minor spoilers with only this current season of Dexter. I guess I'm gonna try my best. There's timestamps below in case you want to avoid it. He basically bumps into another serial killer up in like northern New York, which is a bit of an eye roller for me. I won't lie, because it's like, no matter where this guy, he keeps stumbling upon new serial killers. It's almost impressive. The odds of these guys keep like joining like, I don't know, Reddit meetings or whatever they call them on the weekend. It's a little hard to believe, I guess.
They say something like that in Monk. Did you finish Monk?
It's been a while, but yes, I have finished.
where Ned is like, maybe it's you, maybe you're cursed.
Something like that. That's what it feels like. So that was the one thing I was kind of like, oh, I didn't expect that to be an ongoing thing. And then two, the other thing when it comes to the mystery about that serial killer, to me, it's very obvious who it is, despite they try to keep it a teaser of who can the serial killer, because it's like they jump into that plot line and they show you what's happening there, and you know it's nothing good, and this man is out, I guess, being a predator, working on vulnerable women who are just like traveling in this snowy mountains of New York.
I kind of don't remember that being the thing, like where I'm like, oh, I wonder who it is.
Yeah, it's not a huge thing because they do, I think where I left off, they really tell you wink, wink, it's probably this guy. But like I knew it like in the first 2 seconds. And the biggest reason why I knew it, to be fair, it's like, let's see here. I don't know who this actor is. I don't know who that actor is. I know who that actor is. Ah, fuck.
Well, classic Ray once again. Oh,
the producer hat comes back on.
It's like, oh, it has to be that guy because look, he has where the kids bump into first. It has to be that guy.
We didn't bring back the bad guy from Cliffhanger just to have him show up for one episode. I wonder what we're gonna do with him. Let's find out. Let's find out. So yeah, that's the problem so far. And then,
well, good thing I didn't know any actors.
That's it does help, Frank. It does help.
See, it's good if you don't pay attention, folks. That's the important thing.
And the sad part is, the funniest part is, I know the actor not even from. I know him from voice acting more than I know him from live action.
You know too much.
I know too much, Frank. I've been consuming too much media, too many stories, too long.
As it turns out, Frank, if you watch a lot,
when you run a podcast, it turns out you might see a lot of shit. But and then the other thing about, I guess once again, minor spoilers, about the sun reappearing is a bit of I mixed feelings about it right now. We'll see what happens. What
has happened with him so far?
They reveal that he's not as innocent as he seems to be.
Okay.
That's where I left off on, where Dexter has solved the little mystery involving him. I'm curious, but I am curious about where it's going to go, and I'm a little bit more optimistic. And for better or for worse, at this point, it can end worse than the last season. So, yay! But yeah, that's pretty much it for my week. I guess the one thing I'll mention here is I know I've been taking a little bit of hiatus on my Twitch channel over there. I know, sadly, the holidays are getting the best of me. I've been running around trying to do all these things I've been meaning to do. But I'm going to get back in it this following week, which would be December, calendar time. The 16th, I'll be back over on Twitch TV. And I think I've been back and forth because I had to sit down, like, what games do I really want to play by myself and what games I think would be better for stream. And I've decided to start with a bit of a weird one with an FMV game of all things. I'm not sure I remember it has like a full name, but the main title of this game is called Contradiction.
Okay.
And it's kind of like, if I remember, because I remember seeing this game like forever ago, and you're basically playing a detective. There's been some kind of crime. I think it's like murder. Of course, it's murder because that's how we work. We work crime stories. And you're like this weird, kind of like obscure Sherlock Holmes knockoff, I guess, but like very eccentric version of him. I guess think more modern Sherlock Holmes. And you're like solving a case in like, I think in Britain or the UK. But anyway, I remember seeing this game and I thought it was cool and interesting and very silly, not taken too seriously, but as a, mystery junkie myself and Ace Attorney fan myself, it scratches a lot of that itches. And I think it's just funny because it's very jarring to see the acting, because sometimes it looks like really too hammy and campy, just like Batman 60s. But then it's supposed to be taken also seriously at the same time, so it's just like back and forthness that I find interesting.
Is it because no one does that anymore these days?
And that's the other thing, is it's FMV games is a very small thing. What's up, Frank?
3 questions. What's FMV?
Full motion video.
2, in Phoenix, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like cases, right?
Yes.
Are they always murders, or is it?
Not always, but like 80% of them are.
And I was thinking like the last one is like, are crimes only interesting if they're murders, or is there
apparently when it comes to a lot of our story, and the case closed, it definitely is true.
Yeah.
Because that was like 95% murder.
Because it's never like, oh my god, somebody stole my car.
Yeah, basically. Dude, where did I lose my car? There's no. Sadly, there's not too many cases involving stuffing like that. It's always, oh, there's a dead guy here. How did he get here?
Who had to be in my car?
Yeah, so I'm like, is it our problem or is it
Our problem.
Well, what can I tell you, people? What can I tell you? What can I tell you? I'm too busy doing my YouTube channel. What can I tell you, Frank? Apparently, people love serial killers, and that's why I'm watching Dexter. And there's so many podcasts out there about this kind of stuff, which also shows up in that Dexter season. See, the snake eating its own tail. Oh, crazy, crazy.
I love Ouroboros. Anyway.
Yes. But yeah, so I'm gonna be back on that. I'm gonna be playing that for the holiday season. Obviously, when we get a little closer to Christmas, might take a little break, but I'll be back on my usual routine on Mondays and Tuesdays. Might even go a little bit longer. Sunday, sadly, was probably not gonna be an option for a while. Probably at least until, let's say, end of football season. But hopefully, I'm gonna hopefully be back on also this Sunday, because I know I like to stream like 3 days out of a week if I can. Even though I know I'm not really like, it's very casual. It's kick back, lay back, come out, hang out with me, chit chat, watch me choke and play video games, and we could talk about anime and what terrible taste I have. But yeah, I do that over there on Twitch TV, and I'll be back the Monday after this episode of the podcast comes out. So the link down below in the description of the podcast if you're interested to go like and follow me there and watch me solve murder cases in the UK. Apparently is my next goal.
Let's see if Rick can find it before everyone else does.
And so with that, we'll close our weeks and we've been watching playing, and we'll jump into our main topic for this episode. We're going to be talking about The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, the hottest, newest game that came out September now. It's been a minute.
Technically.
And here we are. And the sad part is I knew that sadly it was going to be about this time of the year that we finally get a chance to really dive back into it and do a full spoiler cast. But here we are, talk about the newest entry in the legendary franchise. And let's start off with Frank. Let's go with Frank here before we get into the heavy spoilers, the ending stuff. Frank, remind us, Frank, how were your early impressions playing this game, and how are you feeling about it, this and that? Were you liking the game? Were you not liking the game? Because obviously we're not playing as Link, we're playing as Zelda. It's a little bit more puzzle solving, less combat focus. How are you feeling about that?
I was liking it. I still wasn't too fond of the whole you can learn anything and reproduce it, and the whole, because I feel like that was already a thing in Tears of the Kingdom, and they didn't say it last time, but I just kept thinking about it. Kind of lazy to do that.
That's true, Frank.
It's the another thing I saw on the internet where it's like, let's give Naruto a new move. They throw that guy off the window.
Oh yeah, I've seen that meme.
And it's just like, Rasengan, yes, new Rasengan. So yeah, those were my early impressions. I was not happy about that, but I was enjoying the beginning, and I was like curious as to where it was gonna go. I was expecting a lot, and yeah, it was a nice honeymoon.
Okay. And what about getting a little deeper? Because last time on the previous podcast, we got up to like, I guess, the halfway point of this game where we explored the first 3 dungeons, if you will. And then we're set on a quest to do a couple more dungeons, right? And so, out of curiosity, Frank, for you, how did you feel from that first set of missions to the later half of the game? Were you feeling a little bit more better or worse, or pretty much the same in the second half?
Well, I am gonna get into spoilers, and spoilers are that there are no spoilers.
Okay.
There are no spoilers. Just nothing happens.
All right.
That's my impression. Like, everything happened in the beginning, and then it felt like it was just rinse and repeat. Like, you went to a spot, you couldn't go to the dungeon, even though you knew where the place was. It's like, let's solve these people's troubles. And then it was like doing the same thing with just different faces, and it felt like I was talking to the same person over and over again. There was nothing that they added to the story. It was just like, let's have 5 dungeons, and they all same thing. They had no ideas. It felt like Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like, you beat the first dungeon. I'm like, oh yes, they told us the what happened in the past, and then you beat the second dungeon, and it's like, wait, the other guy said the same thing,
right?
I just felt like that's what it was. Like, the other guy said the same thing. Like,
what else you got for me?
Yeah, tell me something new.
And
And they didn't tell you nothing new. It was just like,
Okay. All right, Frank, I'll come back to you in a little bit, but let's touch on Miles. Miles, refresh us. How are you feeling in the early parts of the this journey here?
Well, since I wasn't I wasn't able to join you guys that episode. But my early impressions was like, oh, it's a lot of the mechanics you used were pretty unique in the sense like, how do you solve without being Link? Like how do you get through the dungeon without like obviously you have your minions, but like how do you solve certain things that normally you would just like just like use Link's weapons,
Stab him, Link, stab him.
Or use like flip a switch, use bombs, things like. But what if you don't? That's not easily accessible. You have to be more creative how you get around obstacles, things like that. Like with a lot of beds, literally.
And did you like that or didn't like that?
I did like it to a point, but I think Frank kind of touched it a little bit. The problem is, I feel like by halfway through the game, you're pretty much I got this pot, which is different from that pot, but it's the same pot. But it looks like there's too many things to copy, and you get literally boiled down because like you're just like I don't need to copy this rock. I have this rock. Does the same properties as this rock. Why am I copying this rock again?
Because it's red. It's different.
And also the fact like the game itself is trying to be very safe in a sense is like it reminds me of a lot like when you mentioned we talked about the Link's Awakening it kind of feels like it dumbs down a little bit. In a way, like like oh well, the princess, she's too hard, but she's not really in trouble, right? There's no real fighting going on. Like just you're kind of like it's a lot of puzzle solving and I'll do a lot of things, but there's no actual combat unless you could do actual combat, but it's not necessary, And the fact that for the most part is a mishmash of different Zelda characters, like from all the franchise, things like that. But there's like mishmash here, mishmash there. It felt very I guess very easy compared to others looking, but it's supposed to. I guess it kind of supposed to be. It's like more like a beginning Zelda game, kind of like Link's Awakening kind of was. We're not. There's no real like it's not like Ocarina of Time where you had like a boss weakness and like how do you? I was thinking, well, I got this fire guy. He could hit him harder, so go. But like for instance, also like there's also a monotone way how the game works. Is like for instance, you go to a place, insert name. You need to get into the bottom to close the rift. How do you do that? Well, you got to solve the problem. Then you go into the rift, solve the rift. You rinse, eat.
I mean, isn't that every Zelda game though? Here's a temple, go solve the temple. You got this item. All right, attaboy, Link, do it again 8 more times, and now you have the Triforce.
There's some nuances. There's no sense of you growing ability or things like that because I copied this rock or I copied this enemy and now it's a level 2 enemy that's stronger than a level 1 enemy. So and like I said, I literally at the end game, you get one guy and he pretty much destroys all the enemies in the game. Like okay, I roll with this guy. He may take a lot of my energy points, but he'll like I don't have to worry about taking damage because he'll just fight for me. There's no sense of I wish
danger.
I wish if I focused more on puzzles and things like that than rather me combat. Because I feel like because it's trying to do the Zelda game was trying to Link has some form of Link combat has to be in this game somehow. I think that it kind of starts because it's trying to add the Link combat. It should be more about more puzzles, more her solving things rather than
maybe like if you couldn't copy monsters, it would be different. And you just be like, give her like one fireball move, and now you have like use a bed to protect yourself, or the fan or something like that. But having monsters, I think it's kind of.
I
didn't like fighting with monsters.
I think at the end of the day, there's too many things to copy.
Exactly.
There's like usually scrolling down the list forever. You're scrolling.
Like the 4 different type of sword bakus.
I need which bed can help me the best. I need to get the Zelda's bed. Okay, wait, scrolling. Oh, there it is. Make it. And you have to worry about health. You really don't worry about energy. Because the game doesn't. No, none of the combat game felt very. Well, it felt very safe.
Maybe it was easy.
Maybe if like say you get the bed and then you get the level 2 bed, instead of having 2 beds, it's just like it replaces the bed.
Right.
It would have been easier.
That would make more sense
on the scrolling.
True.
I wish there was more puzzling aspect than trying to add the Link combat because they want their cake and they want to eat it too.
A little bit.
And I think that's kind of makes the game suffer a little bit. But that's my early impression. We'll go into spoilers later on. Ray, your thoughts?
All right, for me, for those who didn't turn into the last podcast, I feel like I don't know, maybe I feel like I'm the most optimistic person on the podcast about the game. But as a person who talked about before in previous episodes of the podcast of talking like, where's a Zelda game in the Legend of Zelda video games? It only makes sense that she should have her own video game. And here we are, we finally get it. You know, maybe it's not the game I really wanted or what a lot of people wanted, but you know, she is the main protagonist and lead in this game, so I was very happy with just that fact alone. I did mention on the previous podcast that I did like, as you were talking about there a little bit, Miles, is that it seemed early on it was a lot more focused on puzzle solving. And you would every so often summon a guy to help do your fighting and combat this and that. And of course, if you want to do it in your own hands, you could summon Link's energy or whatever you want to call that and
The
fight.
power of the sword hero.
Yes, and fight just as much as you know you've had since the 1985, if you will. And so yeah, early on I was a little bit more, I guess, optimistic and hopeful about the game. And I guess just for reference for people, this is how I played the game. So for the podcast, when we did our first early impressions, once again, it was pretty much covered up to the first 3 temples in this game.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it, and then we talked about it on the podcast. Have not played it until like a week and a half ago from right now when I had to pick it up all again because like, oh shit, we're gonna do a spoiler cast. I need to finish the game. So I had about like a month and a half to 2 month gap in between playing this video game. And so when I picked it back up, a lot of it I had to try to remember the mechanics of the game, which I just plumb forgot because it's been so long. And we had our charity event in between. I had my video, an hour-long video in between. So I did all these things in that month and a half, and I had to try to remember all the mechanics and how it worked. And it felt like to me, and like I said, might be misremembering just the way I played this. I would not recommend doing this method. The way I played this game is
So
it did
there's
feel
okay.
like the second half of the game was kind of falling off a bit more of a cliff than I was expecting and hoping it to be, because it does seem to repeat a lot of the things that you did in the first half, but they weren't as interesting as in the second half, where it's you go to this town, the village, and you do this in all the Zelda games, to be fair, where there's a problem with the Soras, there's a problem with the Dekus, there's a problem with, you know, the Gerudos over here in the desert town, and you know, solve their problems being the hero in these Zelda games.
Right.
And you do it, sure enough, in this one starring the princess herself. And yeah, it does seem to repeat itself, and I felt like a lot of the charm and a lot of the sharp writing wasn't as strong in the second half.
Right, I can agree with that one.
And that's, for me, as a big narrative focused person, as I talk about all the time on the podcast, that was a big of a disappointment for me, because I was really hoping to get more interesting. Because honestly, probably the best stuff in the game for me that I remember looking back on it now after completing it is still the part with the Zoras, with the 2 different Zoras and their little back and forth anime will they won't they plotline involving the big what's the goofy
Jabba?
Jabba. That's what it is. That's what it is.
There's always has to be a Jabba.
There's always got to be. It's got to be staples. But then like when you get to the Gorons on Death Mountain, it's kind of like, it's kind of forgettable. When you get to the ice place, it's even more forgettable. The one in the swamp or the wetlands with the Deku is like, I think the level design was better, but the story stuff was kind of like meh.
Well, I think like you mentioned before, when we got to the second part in the game, kind of like I don't know what to do with the second half of the game. It felt like, and it kind of just like, well, you just go to your typical 3s out, like fire, the water, and you go to the typical third act or second act into the games, and but they weren't as good as for like they didn't differentiate. It's like we had to have you had to have a Goron, you had to have you have certain
check box list,
so
right?
it's like, oh, this is Zelda because it has all these guys in it,
Right. It does seem like they ran out of ideas. I think Frank was kind of talking about that and hinting at that. Because it did seem like they ran out of ideas at the halfway point in this game. And you can feel it. And like, it wasn't like, I never at a point want to be like, I'm done with this game, turn off the game, I want to walk away
No,
from
it's
the
not
game.
Mario Luigi, no.
But I guess it was a little disappointing when you get to the second half of the game. And like I said, and part of me is kind of curious, because like, is it because I had that weird, almost 2 month gap in between the first half, the second half of the game, and this and that. So I was kind of curious to see how you guys, but it sure sounds like we all kind of felt like as the game progressed, the less interested we got into it. It sounded like. So all right, feel a little better hearing that. I guess.
I said the basic, just before we get started, that's the fact that it wants to be it wants to be different because it wants to be Zelda's first game, but it also is like doesn't want to let go of Link just yet.
Yes.
And that's a problem. It's like it doesn't want to try something different. It wants to do just enough to be different, but at the end of the day, if you want to, you could play it just like Link over again. And that's what kind of makes the game suffer because it wasn't trying to be anything creative. It's trying to just like make it fit with this narrative and happens to have these set of things.
There's a lot of safe choices here. There's nothing, very different or new or refreshing for a, 20, 30-year-old franchise at this point, which did feel a little disappointing because, once again, I had a little bit high expectations being the first Zelda game, quotation marks.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything else that's before we get to more details and spoilers. The other thing I'll get into before we get to there is kind of similar. I had a similar issue with Tears of the Kingdom once again, to be fair. Of the game tells you here are the locations, here's the map, go adventure where you want to go. Having said that, though, the game really, really is designed for you to go here, then here, and then here to really get a good and balanced adventure. From my experience, I'm very, very minor spoiler. If you go to the Doom Mountain,
Rough place.
You go up to the mountains with the Gorons, let's say. In that adventure there, that temple, you unlock the bomb abilities when you access the Link powers, which, boy oh boy, is that handier in later parts in the game when you have to blow up a bunch of stuff and you don't have access to those bombs. So throughout my whole time, and this is how I played the game, sadly, that was the last temple I had to explore and conquer. So throughout the journey on the mountain, through the journey in the forest, I was still using the stupid fish bomb constantly to blow up stupid bricks because I didn't have access to bombs until the very end. And to that point, boy, are the bombs fucking pointless and useless. So that was a little frustrating when I found that out towards the very end of my playthrough. Frank, when it came to the second half, what was the order you played the temples?
The forest place, the Goron place, and then the ice place.
And nice, okay. And how about you, Miles?
As same.
The same, okay. I was similar with the swamp at the end, so I went to the swamp, then the mountain, and then the mountain area because in my head I was like, oh, the map, I only finished this little on the bottom part of the map, and so you do that on the in the wetlands, and then you work your way up to the other side of the map where you get the other two options. And so yeah, I feel like if I did the opposite, I potentially would have had a much better time, or definitely at least an easier time. But overall, the game, I would also agree with Miles' statement. It is fairly easy, which I feel like is maybe a good thing overall because I guess I tried to be a more of a third-party producer, bigger scope picture man, and imagine, for a lot of people out there, every year there's a new gamer out there, right?
Uh-huh.
And potentially for a lot of female girl gamers out there, this might be the game they start their adventure on, right? Oh,
Right.
Finally, the boy takes the side. Now the girl gets to be the main lead. It's a little bit handholdier than other Zelda games out there that existed in the franchise for all these years. So I feel like in that regard, that might be a good thing to have overall. And so I could see why they kind of toned down the difficulty overall, at least for my perspective. But I've also been playing games for 30 plus years, so
Uh-huh.
I guess I have an advantage like that. So I kind of could understand the reasoning behind those choices. I guess let me ask you this, guy, because this is like still minor spoilers. I'll get into too heavy spoilers, I feel like. Did you guys like use all the mechanics, like the smoothies, the graveyard? What's the guy? Dumpy? What's his name? Dompe, something like that. Shows you how much I used him in the game.
Well, I didn't know that was. Speaking about things I missed, I literally was near to the mountain at the end. I realized, oh, he's here, and there's a whole subset of abilities, the automations, but they're useless.
You never touched them.
It's so like, why is this? It must you must get you get this echo and you get this item, and then we could make this machine, or I could copy the animal right here, and I can move on.
And Spawn of Infinity. What about did you guys like upgrade the sword abilities, Link abilities when it comes to the sword?
Yeah, I maxed out the sword and the meter.
You got everything there. How about you, Frank? Did you max out all that stuff?
Well, let me answer the first question.
All right, hit me up, Frank.
What was the first one before?
How far did you get to like all the mechanics in the game?
Yes, I used the smoothies a lot, but first just to do the quest,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was just curious to see like all the combinations.
Mm.
which I feel like kind of broke the game for me
Mm.
because in my quest of making all the smoothies, I ran out of money.
Huh?
Well,
He went all in on the
But
smoothies.
then I'm like,
Big hustle.
I sold the smoothies, and then I had too much money.
Just breaking the economics in this world.
But then I'm like, why do I want money? I bought everything.
Good point.
So it's like, I figured out how to get rich, but there's no point in me rich.
And eventually I was gonna get down to that kind of questioning.
But then,
Mario Luigi problem.
I was already done with the game,
Mm.
and I'm kind of skipping here. But then I found out what the money's for.
Ah.
Found the stupid fairy.
I was gonna mention that was also gonna be the other part of the question.
Okay, so the smoothie thing, I used it, but just out of curiosity. It wasn't a really necessity.
Mm.
The other question was the robots, right? The
Mm.
Automation.
automations.
Didn't even know they were called that.
I did. Did you get them all?
Yeah.
I got them all.
Oh wow.
I got them all, and I don't think they're useless because at first they are. Because the first one they give you a crappy one.
Mm.
It's think of it as a super version of whatever animal it is.
Mm.
The problem with that is that you don't really want to use them because they break, and then you have to go back.
Right.
And then the other one, they take forever to get started. It's not just you summon them because you got to crank them up.
Right.
So unless you have that item, which is like the accessory, which is like to crank up faster,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost not practical to use.
I see.
But you know how you get these useless items
Mm.
throughout the game, and it's kind of like, oh, these are just things I get just for honor.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Personal pride.
yeah, it's just oh, I did this quest and he gave me this, which does nothing.
Right.
I have a feeling, and maybe I'm remembering wrong, but at least some or all items are part of making an automaton.
Yeah, there are certain side quests I noticed that if I did all whatever the side quest wanted me to do, then I get an item. I guess I use that plus an echo, and you did plus an echo to get automation.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, now it kind of makes sense to do that, which takes a while, and it's like you have to do a lot to get these things, and then it had me thinking like, I'm doing fine. Why do I want these super strong automations if I don't really need them?
Right.
So that's the part where I was like, I'm not sure why I want these, but I'm getting them.
Well, I think like Frank mentioned earlier, I think if there were if you couldn't able to copy enemies, and then there's one way to like copy an enemy is making an automation of said enemy, then it worked fine because that way you're like, that's how you fight that way. You have to wind up. Yeah, you strategic how you get the character, wind up the automation, wind.
There's a real reason to level up to keep fetching on these side quests, right?
But I feel like after a while, if you say you call the Ocrocks, then like cool, you get a metal Ocrock, cool.
But it fires the cool looking.
Yeah, but look, it shoots fireworks.
Yeah, it's
That's
tight.
cool.
It's tight. It's tight.
He likes the fireworks.
No, it's you know what? I got to the end and I was like, well, might as well try to collect everything.
Right.
And that's when I got all the automations.
Completionist out here.
And by the time I had them all, I was like, okay, I'll use them when I gotta use them. And it's the final boss, and I was trying to use them, and they wouldn't let me use them because he kept hitting me. So I used them all, but they all didn't get a chance to shine. So I don't know what all of them did.
Oh, I see.
But I have to say the best one for sure is the sword Boku. You summon him and he doesn't move.
Huh.
He like barely moves, like because he does this slice, and I don't know how it works, but the slice is like half the screen. I was like, whoa, what's
Anime fashion.
That's like, yeah, he became what samurai does that, like just big ass slash, like I don't know.
Sephiroth?
That'll work.
Yeah, I was fighting the final boss, and the slash was the whole body of the final boss. I'm like,
he's not playing out here.
This guy's stronger than Link.
Yeah.
Should give him the Triforce.
So it was cool. At least
You mean Prime Energy?
That one
Very different.
That one robot was cool. I feel like that was worth it.
Okay, that's good to know.
I like the glowing one, the little glowing knoll, the little like the jelly blob that if you wind him up, then he has little disco lights and like he attacks musical notes, things like that.
I didn't get to see him doing much. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot in this game overall. And I think we already hinted at that. There's a lot of mechanics in this game, and most of it you don't need, to be honest, because for one, I never used any of that stuff at all. The Dompe stuff, didn't use it a single bloody time my whole playthrough. Never needed it because all I needed was I needed my platform to go up. So that was either my floating yellow guy that goes up and down and smashes, or my little spider guys that send a rope and I go up, or my magical clouds that let me straight off the path / the good old fashioned beds will get you across the first half of the game, no matter what obstacles in your way.
Shout out to those beds, the old beds.
They get a lot of done. And for me, I didn't use a smoothie until the very end of the game. And it's kind of funny, kind of like Frank, but in a slightly backwards way, maybe. So for me, I stumbled onto the fairy fountain pretty early on in the game, just by pure chance. Like I passed the lake, and I was like, "Oh, look, there it is. Cool."
Yeah, I remember bumping into her. I'm like, "What do you do?" And then he gave me more accessories. I'm like, I was thinking that having all these accessories was kind of dumb when I could only equip one. And then I'm done with the game, and I finally see I can equip more than one. I'm like, "Oh, you."
So yeah, so that was my focus, because at the beginning, money didn't really matter, because I would always, stumble upon money with the treasure chest, and then I'd always summon crows because I found them to be pretty effective, and plus they give you money, so I use them often, and so I
Wait, if the regular crows give you money,
the regular crows give you money.
What the gold one does.
And I was confused by that in our last podcast, as I mentioned that I think the crows give you money, but I didn't understand why. But the more I played it in the second half, I went like, "Oh, I'm not crazy. It's just for whatever reason, crows give you money, and they'll chase the money for you on top of it." So I was like, "All right, so I'm gonna be a bunch of crows. They attack everything and get me money. All right, sweet. I don't have to do shit." But then when it comes to the later part with the fairy fountain, the great fairy, she loves her rubies. Let me tell you.
Just like Tears of the Kingdom, I gotta get paid.
They have quite the betting system going on there.
I did like something that she said where it was like, "Yeah, I'll help you, but not for free."
Right.
And she phrases it in a way like, "I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't give it to you for free." Like I it's not in like kind of like if she's doing a favor for charging you.
Right.
I just started cracking up like, I wouldn't do that to you.
There's some decent writing once in a while in this game, so it was nice to see that. So yeah, and that was one of those like, "Oh, I need some money," because especially in the last slot, you're gonna need 1,000 rubies. I'm like, I don't got 1,000 rubies. Until you start playing the smoothie game and break the economics in Hyrule, because you just make a couple I'm swimming in like grapes and honey that I've collected this whole time and never really used until the very end of the game. So I'm just like, all right, make these smoothie for $10, and I'll sell it to you for $50. What a steal, right? It's 4 guys going out of business next week because of me alone. But because of that, I was able to upgrade all my slots when it comes to the equipment and stuff.
Wouldn't that be something like if you beat the game and they're like, "Yeah, this guy is broke," and you see the sign that says like closing? Why ran out of money?
Pretty much. So if you're like into reselling, have I got a game for you? Because that's what it feels like. It's like, you go to Best Buy, they're dumping, whatever Mario for $20, and then you go to GameStop, break the plastic, open it, and sell it to GameStop for $30. It's like, well, let's see. It's easy free money out there. So it'll feel a little bit that way. But yes, the slushies or whatever you want to call them, I didn't use until the very end. I never used the mechanical thing at all. And then honestly, like as I mentioned before, there's a lot to sort through if you look through the item selection. But to me, at the end of the day, I use like the same 6 things over and over again. So I always just use the last recently used or last used tab, and it was just always the cloud, the white armor guy when you unlock him because he does the most damage quickly.
Well, yeah, he's my buddy.
He is
the
my
white
buddy.
Armor guy, which is that one?
I don't. What is he called?
It's Iron Knuckle.
Right, he's an Iron Knuckle, I think technically.
Iron Knuckle level 3, but like
he just wields. He's a big armored dude with an axe.
He's like
and he spins around
Go get him,
all
boy.
day.
Go get him.
Isn't he blue?
No, he's white.
There's variants, but the strongest one's the white armored one, I think. At least it costs you the most points to summon. So you use that, like I said, the clouds for platforming, the bed in case I need to heal and I'm too lazy to make smoothies, so I use the bed all the time. So yeah, that's what it feels like. There's a lot of mechanics in the game that just seems like they need to be edited, and I think we talked about and hinted that in our previous podcast, but it seems like the more you go on the game, it really doesn't justify it. Because even later on when you get to, in particular, really the only problem that becomes a real problem is in the mountain, the snowy mountains, where it's like, it's so cold out here, Zelda, you better have something to heat you up. And so it's like, oh, that's why I have these slushies or whatever, smoothies. But then you realize like, oh, but I could just summon a flame guy and hold them and walk around the map, and I'll never have to worry about temperature.
Or it's just like, you get like little stand, the little
Fire stands, and just summon them every so often.
You summon it, you attach it to yourself, bind it to yourself, and just
walk around with it. Mm-hmm. So I like the fact, once again, I talked about it in the previous podcast, is the ways to solve a problem. I like that there's several ways to solve it. That's great. Puzzle solving, which Miles, once again, you talked about. We need more of that, I feel like, to distinct itself from the other Zelda games starting Link as the main hero.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I guess the difficulty was maybe a little too easy. And like I said, a little boring sometimes, let's say, with all these mechanics. This is the horse. I used the horse like 2 times.
I didn't know there was a horse till I saw you have the horse. Like, there's a horse? Where's the horse? Like there are a lot of mechanics in this game. Like you have to stumble upon. There's not like obviously I don't want you to handhold me you gotta use this, but there's no hit of a horse. Where's the horse come from?
Yeah, and
they can't really can you call it?
You can, but you have to use a carrot. And I didn't realize that for a long, but I never used it. But then I was like, oh, and I thought about it, carrot, and sure enough, I was like, oh, okay, cool. It'll show you on your map where the horse you left.
Yeah.
You left the horse, so it's like, but at the end of the day, there's so many warp points in this game that like I don't know why we would ever use the horse. And like the Zelda walking around with no horse versus with the horse is not that dramatically different versus like, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, where like, yeah, the horse is really helpful in this game with the 3D environment, right?
Well, it's like the game's full of mechanics, but they just don't utilize them correctly.
Yeah, they just like, let's grab the greatest hits from here, the greatest hits from here. And because at the end of the day, this game does feel like a bit of a, 3D meets old school 2D Zelda. And sometimes it works, and sometimes they don't translate very well trying to incorporate those mechanics from this game into this game. So it's a bit of lost in translation, I guess I would say, overall feeling it. So I guess we'll lead into our spoilers here, and I guess we'll go for the big dish here and just get to the final boss battle.
There's a boss?
Yes, and let's talk about that here. So spoilers, once again, spoiler warning right here. Timestamps below. Click away if you're not ready yet.
There's a final boss?
And come back for us. All right, gentlemen. Let me ask Miles here. Miles, because I already teaser here. How did you feel about the final boss, the final segment, when you finally caught up with Link, and now it's time to duke out with our main villain for this game?
It was the most easiest. Kind of like, I got my white knuckle guy, go get him, boy, and I'll just dodge this left and right. And I might, I did kind of pull that. It's like, trying to beat its eyes, I guess, or whatever you call it.
Bunch of hands, a lot of hands.
But everybody got it, pull it off, and I guess it does damage to him, and just watch him and Link, or my white knuckle guy and Link just duke it out and try to take out this thing. And it's like, but you I'm not. What am I doing here? I felt like those kind of always in the background. You go get him, guys. Go get him. Now, as soon as I dodge this, dodge that. Make this bed so that we can kill him real quick. And like it was very unsatisfying.
What about you, Frank? How did you feel about your final encounter, the big baddie in this game?
By the time I got to this place, I felt I was done with everything, and I just remember I didn't answer one of your questions. I did max out the sword and the bow, and the energy.
Oh wow!
And then I found the bombs, and I'm like, oh shit! That means
there's more to collect.
That means I'm not done with the the Minecraft cubes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I'm like, I've been through the whole map. What am I missing?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to like look under every bush,
every rock.
Yeah, I'm
literally.
Like, nah, I'm curious to see what the level 2 bomb does.
I did. Slight tangent. I did also feel all the, I guess, the little guy's energy. I closed all the rifts. So
okay.
I maxed out.
Tries.
Yeah.
Energy beams.
And it's like
that I did do.
But
that was like the one thing I told myself, I'm gonna finish this part at least.
But it's also very unsatisfying. At the end of the day, you get you make this item a little bit less.
Yeah, you make more, and it costs you a little less.
So I wanted to upgrade the bombs. I'm like, and I had the opposite effect of with the bombs, cause I'm like, I'm not wasting my energy to blow up this thing when I have a free fish.
Might be a little slow and a little gunky, but it just works just as well.
I know you move, but I can just get in his way.
I was gonna say just block him, and he can't go anywhere.
Or pick it up. So what I thought about is by the time by the time I got to the end, I was done doing everything, and so there was no need to make more smoothies,
Mm,
which means I had none.
right.
And then I thought it was cool in a way where it like everything was mixed up. Oh, you got to see all the areas you went to in the rift.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of nice. But
True, true.
I thought the dungeon was gonna be bigger. It wasn't.
Very small.
It felt rushed. The whole thing, the whole game, it felt like Zelda got the B team to make this game for her, and
Mm.
it's like they kind of know what we want, but at the same time, they don't really know. They're like, it's almost there, but you're like, you don't quite have it. So, I don't like summoning. I don't like the whole system of making a bunch of items. So when I got Zelda, when I got Link,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, great, this is how I get things done. So I
Mhm.
used him a lot. Like I hated summoning to fight. I'm like, "Ugh." It felt so tedious because sometimes you would summon it and it would just go somewhere else. I'm like, really?
They can be a little dumb sometimes.
So that was annoying. Or like the magician guy that teleports.
Oh,
He would take forever.
he
to
takes
attack.
forever to first wind up shot. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, the Zol would have already taken care of. So I used my point I'm trying to make is that I used the Link a lot, and I was like dependent on him, like
mm-hmm.
or the blue Link, whatever you call it.
The
Yeah.
energy.
I get to the final boss, and I can't use Link anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? Like I'm not used to fighting.
Right.
Like and then I had a few hearts because I don't want.
How Kate sift them?
I had a few hearts,
Hmm.
and so I was I was struggling a bit. I actually died a few times in the final boss.
Oh wow. Oh, wow.
Because I didn't have
You weren't
fairies.
ready.
I was like
You weren't prepared.
I was cold turkey.
All those smoothies gone to waste. Had to sell. He sold too many smoothies, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like I was on top of the world. I had infinite
See.
infinite money.
Uh,
I had a strong bodyguard. The stock plummeted. I lost.
he lost it
I'm
all.
unemployed. My bodyguard left. Now I'm fighting the strongest bad guy in the game, but naked. So
That would make it
it
difficult.
took me. That boss took forever.
It was for me. It was a bit of a long journey.
I think the intention was have all these things you can use and just like, oh, I'm gonna use this, didn't work, oh, let me try something else. Like I think I'm putting on my kid hat on. I'm like, isn't it
Mm.
cool if I can just like go Squirtle, oh shoot, he's a lightning,
Right.
or just keep dumping stuff at him and just like,
Wow, that's what I did. It's like I was having like the white knuckle. All right.
no, I was just like, I was throwing the little fish at him and then
Fish.
And then I was doing different stuff, not because I'm like I couldn't figure out how to kill it. It was just like me having fun, like, oh yeah, what about this?
Let's
now?
see what this is.
What will this bee do or something like that?
For Link. Did you just summon a fish there, Zelda? Yeah. You got a problem with that, Link?
Yeah, he was like, I'm trying to be serious here.
I'm a puzzle solver out here, Link. All right. You do your sword stuff and leave the magic to me. All right.
This is why you don't have other games.
This is why I got the wand
just-
and you got the sword.
You're just messing around here. So I was having fun with it, and then it kept killing me. Like, okay, you want me to get serious? I'll get serious. I'll use the robots to. So I started using them, and then I died again. I'm like, I guess the robots aren't working.
Bad robots.
It kind using the super strong, like for me the strongest one was the big guy, the level 4 sword Boku. I think that was the one that worked best for me, but it wasn't working because like eventually I will get out. Where do they say this? Like they kept using it. It's a battle of attrition. What anime? I was just kept watching.
Everyone.
Anyways, I wasn't durable enough to last the whole battle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, now I have to. The way I ended up beating it, I summoned the those things that throw rocks at you.
What do they call them?
Yeah,
Octorocks?
Octorocks.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
yeah, but the fire ones.
Mm.
Because they usually cost 2, but since I had leveled up, they cost 1. So I'm
There
like,
you
you
go.
know what? I'm gonna just summon 6 of them.
Just
And it
shoot
was-
from a distance.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's like
It's like Plants vs. Zombie out here.
Yeah, I feel like I was playing the airplane game.
Airplane game.
Yeah, the one where it scrolls up and you just shoot stuff.
Oh, like Space Invaders?
Yeah, it was
Airplane?
I mean,
Let's say it's 1942 or 41.
surprisingly 6 of those dudes work better than one of the strongest monsters.
There you
It
go.
was just
wow.
like
You get the job done.
I'm Contra. I have the S
uh,
S shot right here. I beat it. I kept thinking like, man, this guy looks exactly like Tree. Try. He had the same shape. He was just bigger and had a
yeah, with
Dark.
darker aura.
yeah. So I'm like,
Woman George Mask.
and it's my problem where I hope too much or I think too much about this stuff, and this is probably why I didn't like the ending or whatever. It's like, you know how I mentioned, Tree, it would be cool if he ends up being the Triforce.
Right.
No, that was just like, no, we're not gonna make him important at all.
There's nothing here.
And then okay, and then it would have been cool, like, oh, he's one of us, but he just went astray or
Right.
something. No,
Something.
it's just no. He looks like you. No explanation. Like, why would he look like the good guys if he's a bad guy? Like, what's going on here? Like, I need some sort of explanation. Like,
Yeah, and then you go look at it. There's nothing there.
nothing there. It was just like, well, we don't know what to draw, and we worked a lot on try, and so we want to use them again. I don't know. That's then the boss, this boss, whatever it was, I forgot what it was. It felt like what you guys were talking about.
Noel, that was the name.
No, it felt like
it was
the
Noel,
Moon
right?
Lady.
I can see that.
Yeah, because who you think Zelda, who's the bad guy?
Ganon.
Ganon, which he comes out, but then it's like, no.
Apparently, it's just Nappa in this game.
We're
You
like,
got napped.
the game starts, the game starts Naruto versus Sasuke, and then like that, Sasuke wins,
Yeah.
and then you beat Sasuke, and it's like, well, he's not really the final boss. The final boss is the Moon Lady.
Here comes Moon Lady.
Yeah. What? I've never heard of.
What
I've
the
never
fuck
heard
is
of
this?
you. Where is this? Is
I haven't played this game for 20, 30 hours. I don't know who the hell this is.
Why would I care about this guy?
Bingo.
And then I was gonna collect, because after you beat the game, it tells you, oh, now you can see what you missed.
Mm.
And I was like, cool. And then I fought the Lino, kicked my butt,
What they always do.
and then I was like, wait, why am I collecting everything? Are you giving me a trophy?
Realize now. You realize that.
I realized I had the Mario and Luigi Brothership epiphany.
Yeah, like what am I fighting?
Yes.
Listen to Zero.
Well said. And with that, I'm done.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. What am I going to talk about here? I guess a couple things to tackle here. So I guess because it was the last thing you talked about, Frank, I'll go backwards here. I did find that funny that throughout my whole gameplay of the game, I never bumped into a, what do you call him? The
Lino?
Yeah. But he shows up as a evil summon towards the final boss
I know.
fight.
I was like, what the heck?
And I was like, what the fuck? There's one of these in the game?
What's killing me?
So I was kind of like, when did I miss something? Did I not? And I'm like, I looked at the map. I'm like, no, I checked this area, checked that area. Like, how the fuck did I miss this guy? But okay, I guess I missed this guy. But I guess it's new game plus mode only, maybe? Question mark.
No, there's a particular thing you have to do to run into him.
Oh, is it like a side quest or something?
I don't know if we could call it a side quest because you don't have to accept the quest to find them. The way you find them is, in the forest.
Oh, it's like only one.
Yeah. It's in the forest of the Lost Forest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And if you look carefully, there's some footprints. If you follow them, eventually, like, you run into this open space which looks like it's for nothing, but that's where you find them. Like, but you have to follow the footprints, and then it'll lead you to that area, and then he'll just sneak up behind you.
Okay, that's good to know. So yeah, I was surprised about that. So when it came to the story stuff, as I talked about once again on our previous Early Precious podcast about this game, where I was once again being the narrative focused writer junkie I am, I was too busy like, oh, this has got to mean something, and why can Zelda go through this dimension and no one else can, and this and that, and all the groundwork setting up to tease. And we see Ganon show up, and Ganon becomes like the mid-tier boss overall in the game, and which probably was like the toughest fight for me overall. Once again, we talked about the fact that he doesn't really do much in this game. He's just kind of a lackey at the end of the day. He's not even like the main bad guy.
He's there because it has to be Ganon.
Yeah, and he's not even like Ganon was working for Noel this whole time or something like that. It's just like he was doing his own shtick, and then Noel shows up and wrecks his day basically. I guess is the way we're supposed to interpret the story, how that goes. So I did find a lot of the story setup of like, Tri and how come Zelda can. I guess the answer is she's the chosen one. She has the Triforce. That's why she can do what she can do, which is very kind of boring. I was hoping for a little bit more interesting going on. Maybe, sadly, for better or worse, maybe I was thinking a little too hard, like this foolish
Looking for
Kingdom
short-
Hearts lore knowledge person. Fan.
yeah.
It sounds like I like it, but I don't, so I didn't want to use the word fan. As a person who's played the Kingdom Hearts series, I was expecting some
You're
crazy,
thinking-
ludicrous answer to justify all this.
You're
Made me
like
go like,
some,
okay, I guess.
some Nomura bullshit. pretty
Yes.
much.
But you don't get in the game. It keeps it very simple. There's Link, there's Zelda, and together they beat the evil part of the Triforce, or in this case, the Prime Energy. Which I also thought was kind of interesting because I thought at some point I thought this was going to try to do like Skyward Sword kind of, where like this is like one of the early games in the Zelda timeline, because all the lore things that we all know as people playing this franchise for as long as we know these things have to happen. But for them, this is all like brand new because Link doesn't know Zelda and vice versa. It's all kind of weird and wacky and new for everyone involved in this world. And like no one knows who Ganon is, and like I think they only call him like Ganon like maybe 3 times. So it's just funny and interesting, and I thought like there's another missed opportunity that we could have done a little bit more to provide into the Zelda lore, since it really feels like I said, this was one of the early entries in the timeline, kind of like Skyward Sword. So that was a bit of a bum out when it comes to the bigger overarching story stuff that could have happened but just never happened. And Triforce, somehow they were going to come together, make the Triforce. Never happened. Just Prime Energy, end of story.
Yeah.
So that big a missed opportunity. When it came to the boss fight, I didn't realize this, and I only knew this because I was listening just by pure chance. I was listening to another podcast today, and they were talking about the final fight in this game, and I did not realize or think to try to yank out one of the arms off the wall throughout the whole time. And the reason why I didn't think of that is because, as Miles already mentioned, bring out the white armor dude. He just does all the hard work for you.
Yeah.
So every time an arm pops out the wall,
Just-
summon him.
Just set him and forget it.
And oh no, here comes an arm on the right side. All right, summon this one now over here to do that. I never was like, man, why is it taking forever? There must gotta be a better way, right? I never once ever thought that in my playthrough with the final boss, because my strategy of just dodging left and right, watching Link and the White Knight guy do all the hard work, and me just dodging attacks, was pretty easy and to do, and a little boring also as well, because this whole time it was nice and refreshing. Most of the time I try my best just to use my summon warriors to do the fighting for me, and I didn't always rely on the sword abilities, because I'm like, well, that's not the mechanics of the game. They threw it in here for people who really want it, but I want to explore this game differently, right?
Yeah.
But once you don't have that ability at all, I was like, oh no, I kind of really want that right now in this final boss fight.
It is weird how you spend most of the game trying to upgrade that ability, isn't that just to give it to Link?
Yes.
Now, I don't know if that's because if you get a bonus if you gather all the stones to give it to him. Does that make that sort does he fight better, or is it just like, well, just give it to him, man?
I was curious about that too.
Yes, and it doesn't, from what I can tell, I think my team was doing more damage than Link was doing, to be honest. So yeah, I did kind of wonder that as well, but it didn't seem like it from what I could see. But maybe some deep dive, someone's done the numbers.
Someone did numbers and that, but
yeah, and you kind of do the same thing over and over, and it no longer becomes interesting or hard. It's just time consuming, because he just grows more limbs, and you do it again, and it's just like, okay, here we go again, here we go, and it feels longer, but not like interesting longer, just longer, like filler nonsense, I guess.
yeah.
And so that was that. And to me, the biggest disappointment, even before the final fight, is the final temple, quotation marks, where it's like 2 seconds long.
Mm-hmm.
But the sad part is, I thought this had really a lot of potential, and I think we already kind of teased this overall in this discussion, is a lot of this game feels maybe a little underbaked and not fully developed. And to me, here is like a perfect time to really sell all of these mechanics in this game, because in all these stories in the temples, you meet some Goron, some Zora. It's kind of like with you on your adventure, and they're part of the neighborhood town, if you will. But you don't really, they just show up and just talk dialogue to you and they walk away, right? There's no like co-op teaming up with them.
Yeah.
But for 2 milliseconds in this game, at the very end, you have like 1 or 2 small puzzles that you and Link have to like work together to solve, right? But you don't control Link. It's all CPU stuff controlling that character. And I thought that was a really cool idea that they should have like fully expanded to and do a proper final temple to get to the final boss. Very much like a Portal 2 situation for those who ever played
Right.
the co-op version of Portal 2. I thought that was a great game and a great mode in particular. And I wish they had a little bit more of that going on overall in this game where you have different partners and you have to team up and they have a certain skill and ability and you go on this adventure together. Kind of like what they did in Tears of the Kingdom, right? That's basically kind of what happens in Tears of the Kingdom.
You know
It's
what?
different areas.
Thinking about that would have been cool. Like, it would have been more worth doing those side quests to get to the dungeon if they went in with you.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a missed opportunity there to really cash in on those ideas. So yeah, I thought that was a big disappointment overall. And
Yeah.
there was something we could have
Well-
cooked. To me,
well-
it seems so obvious, but it just didn't happen because they ran out
Well-
of time or money. And this game did come out kind of quickly, so it felt like you could feel like this game wasn't originally designed to be like, we want to make this a new, unique Zelda game in the franchise. It's more like, people, we need to put out something new, boss. And we have this half-baked Zelda game. Let's just, do this and do that and call it a day and slap it and put it out.
I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, it does feel like it's not fully cooked, fully baked, and you can feel it, especially in and it's funny because in the first half you feels like, oh, okay, this is, a pretty rich and, a full adventure, right? This isn't like a Game Boy port or something, downgraded. But in the second half, it kind of feels like,
It was rushed.
yeah, it feels rushed and,
Alright,
it's a little under, let's say.
It's no Skyward Sword in which you're doing literally sitting of
Oh, you do go back.
They
a
ran
lot.
out of
back a
time
lot.
or money.
Yes.
But it felt like we reached a certain point and kind of because Mario Luigi has the same issue. I think a lot of like these later Switch games have the same problem, which but we're waiting for the new stuff, so we're gonna develop to like this point, and then
We're going to cut a lot.
and copy repaste and just finish the game that way.
And it's hard not to think that way because, once again, we all know Switch 2 is hopefully going to be around the corner next year because, man, oh man, do we need some new Nintendo hardware to run these games. And then, once again, thinking big political view overall, and I think I mentioned this a little bit last time, is I feel that will be disappointing because, for a lot of people out there, this is might be their first Zelda game. For a lot of people out there who identify with, a Zelda-like character, if you will. I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunity and potentially a big disappointment pitfall to fall into this game because people are hoping this to be, something that represents me, that makes me feel like a gamer, if you will, because I know a lot of times we have this picture of what a gamer is, right?
Right.
And not every time it's something that everyone can identify with. And so I feel, once again, it's a missed opportunity to really get this flesh out and cook and put this out on day one with the Switch 2 potentially, right? So once again, it's a little disappointing if you think about it in the global, bigger picture, if you will. What are you gonna say there, Miles?
Well, I was gonna say it reminds me the Princess Peach game I played a little bit earlier. We had the same issue, which this would be great if we had more time to further, but also the fact that it was chucking as heck. But the fact that it was it seemed like a lot it seemed like it was rushed, kind of like to make the market because we gotta do it now because we have to wait a year until this new one's ready. So we need something to put out for this console. Was put here, and then the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible and we could run better. We get there.
Right.
Just put it out here now. Kids will eat up anyway, and they'll literally pay us to play a new workable version Age of Calamity. Age of Calamity really need
the gaming performance on that game.
It died. It died when you try to put I think we're trying to play multiplayer and it just no.
Or are they struggling with one person playing? Two people. Woo. But yeah, at the end of the day, I still like the game. I enjoyed my time playing with it. It might even make my top favorite games of the year. We'll stay tuned to that episode of the podcast in the future. But yes, it's just, to me, it's hard not to feel disappointed after playing this game because there seems like there's so many potential things and easy fixes in the game that just didn't happen because they ran out of time or money or both, and they just said, here's a game, put it out before the holiday season, make sure it says Legend of Zelda, and it'll print money for ourselves. And I'm sure it did. I haven't looked at the numbers. Nintendo usually doesn't really share their numbers.
You can't share numbers, therefore you can't tell me if it's good or bad.
But I'd like to think it did well because it said Legend of Zelda in it. I don't feel bad or like I wasted my time playing this game either. It's somewhere in the middle, I guess.
I think it for what its purpose was. It it did its job. It's just that unfortunately, it just took a little caveats here, a little bit from there, a little bit there, and it hinders it a little bit because no one treated it as actually like a real bona fide Zelda. This is Princess Zelda game. It's more like Zelda game that happens as Princess Zelda.
It's like a spin-off, I guess.
And it's just like, and if you didn't try to incorporate Breath or Tears of the Kingdom, the kind of the last game in there, and we actually try to focus more on trying to think of wisdom and actually try and make more puzzles rather than try to solve dungeons like Link does. This game could have been a lot better, but since they didn't, they want to have their cake and eat it too, in which they know you could play as Princess Zelda, but here's a little Link gameplay so that way this is a Zelda game.
In case you fall asleep.
And I think that kind of hindered because everything was based like, well, when in doubt, just turn to this form, man. Hey, look, it's a Zelda game, everybody. And also the fact that Link or everyone can jump, I think is weird.
Like a dedicated jump button.
The jump button, I think is a little odd.
You're supposed to just jump when you get to the edge of the platform.
And also
worked on the 64.
And no fall damage.
Oh, yes, also no fall. That was weird. But I guess, once again, taking down the difficulty a little bit. But if you fall in lava, that does hurt you, which I'm like, okay, sure. All right, game. What about you, Frank? Any final thoughts, spoiler things you want to talk about here on our podcast?
Everything I say is pretty much the things you already said in a different way. Questionable choices, missed potential.
All right, so that sounds like that'll wrap up our spoiler talk here on Otaku Podcast, talking about The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. But yeah, let us know what you think about the game down below. We have our social media links down below. Well, check us out, send us a message, let you know how you feel about the game, good or bad. I'd like to hear your opinion. Of course, it matters.
Do you like the smoothies?
Yeah. How much smoothies did you make? I made enough to complete the side quests, I think.
I am annoyed like Frank was the fact that it cost you money. Just like Tears of the Kingdom, it costs you money to make smoothies or to do anything in that game. Yeah, why does it cost me money? I give you the ingredients, man. Why am I paying you 10 rupees to make this thing? I give you the ingredients.
I mean, I don't feel as bad though after I profit off this guy by making 10 for 10 and selling it back to him 50. It's like, all right, and I'm like swimming in once again grapes and honey, so it's like, all right, bro, thanks a lot. He's out of business right now. They're back to spider webs now, thanks to me.
You mean cotton candy?
Yeah, cotton candy, very different. Which, thinking about it, ugh. All right, so that about does it here for the podcast. Before, I got to give you a little tease of what's to come up on our schedule here on Otaku Podcast. So next podcast, we'll be talking about our top favorite animes of the year 2024 edition. They won't be technically shows that just came out in 2024, but there's a good chance that a good chunk of them will be shows that just came out this year, since we have covered every season this whole year. So look forward to that conversation. See if there's any more sneak peeks, some old favorites of first-time viewers. That's all it has to be to qualify on the list. So hopefully we'll have our usual anime experts on the panel that week. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to have our top video games of 2024. Same credential. Doesn't have to be a brand new game in 2024. It just has to be something the first time we ever played in 2024. So look forward to that. I know I have to do a little bit of research and organize myself. But look forward to those recommendations, the countdowns of the new year / 2025. So we're going to be with you throughout the year. No breaks for us. So no matter what, you're doing some late night holiday shopping, you're getting ready for the big celebration of the new year, we're going to get you covered here on the podcast. So don't change that channel. Don't unsubscribe. Make sure to subscribe and like and all that good stuff out there. And look forward to our new adventures here in 2025. A lot of hopefully good changes in down the road here on this little podcast we've been doing.
See the guy with hot takes? That's that guy.
Now I have a face, and now you know exactly where he is, and you could go, it's that guy again. And I don't like that guy.
I'll be like Aiden Pierce. I'm gonna wear like a hat and a bandana that you never see me.
Yeah, you'll never see him. And of course, then after that, we're gonna have our which would be, I guess, fall 2024, and that's gonna be coming out sometime probably towards the mid to late January. So look forward to that. We'll be talking about, what did we choose again? Mechanical Arms, Aqua Trip, and Ranma. I think. So look forward to more spoiler talk regarding those 3 anime classics. And of course, then it means turning back around, it's more previews for the current season. So look forward to all that.
I don't even know what's coming out next season.
I have no idea either, but I have to start working on reviews also for the YouTube channel. So look forward to that, I guess, also down on over on the YouTube channel if you want to hear more bad takes over from me. And with that, we bid you adieu. We hope you guys have a good one. Hear from you in the near future. And until then, people, be safe, be smart, and Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. I'm trying to think when this episode will come out. This will come out early. It's not Christmas just yet.
Happy pre-Christmas.
Pre-Christmas. Enjoy.
High post-Turkey Day.
Did you get the gift? Get that gift. Whatever you do, get that gift before you turn off this podcast.
And you might want to buy the trunks sooner before the end of next year.
Also, definitely after Christmas, and you have some gift card money. Free advice here on Taco Taco Podcast. And with that, I say goodbye, adios, farewell, and
Say goodbye.
there you go. Copyright strike again. Damn it.